Welcome back, welcome back. I hope the energy is high again. You are rested and we can continue. We are still waiting for a few people who are late from the lunch break, but I think we will start and then wait for them to join us in the progress. Next guest, next speaker of this forum is, I think many of you are familiar with Agata. Many of you know her, and most probably a big part of our guests have participated either in her talks at the forum or at the workshops that she has been conducting for the most of the project duration in Kaunas. In fact, already when we were writing the Capital of Culture bid book, it was clear for us that there is supposed to be a capacity building program. We invested a lot of thought, a lot of time in planning this capacity building program. And we were fantasizing who could be the teacher who will be leading, who could be the leaders of these workshops, and where do we get them? And then Destiny helped us meet Agata, who was leading absolute most of the workshops for culture professionals from Kaunas and Lithuania as well. In fact, the workshops that Agata Etmanowicz is leading in Kaunas were also very important in developing closer partnerships among our cultural organizations, and I do hope that this effect of the capacity building program will be the one that stays a long time after the Capital of Culture year ends. So Agata is the president of Impact Foundation, partner organization of Kaunas 22, responsible for creating and conducting a multi-annual capacity building audience development program. Agata has been a cultural worker her whole life. She has been involved in the cultural sector from various perspectives, from technical production, coordinating accessibility of art events, to co-creating European cultural policy. Supporting fellow culture professionals has always been a crucial part of her work, in workshop rooms and in a field, through the structures of public institutions, international organizations, and NGOs. She believes in social usefulness. That applies to both her private and her professional life. Together with Impact Foundation, she promotes the approach which combines audience development and accessibility, as you can't have one without another. So please give a warm welcome to Agata. And she will not be alone on the stage because, as Roberto's, Agata likes a community approach, and she invited also a few colleagues, local colleagues of her. It's Neringa Kulik, the CEO of Kaunas Biennial, and manager of the European platform Magic Carpets, as well as Marius Pečiulis, director of Kaunas IX Fort Museum. So you will be joining us later on the stage, right?
They said that Neringa prefers to watch the presentation.
Perfect.
From the first row.
Okay.
Better view.
So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I don't know what else to say. I think everything was said already. It seems like everything was said already. I'll try to be very brief, mainly because most of you probably heard me already or know me already, so it's enough of me. I'll be here today only to give you the background. For me, honestly, it's, preparing for this presentation was a very personal journey. I went down the memory lane, opened up my library with photos, and it was very emotional experience for me to see all the faces over the 5 years all together in my photo library. The technical thing, for the first part is 3 of us, for the second part there will be 4 more actually, so I'll give you a little bit of background of what has happened in Kaunas from my perspective, and then those who have the most to say about it will talk about it, and I'll shut my mouth, I promise. So very, very briefly, I'm going to talk about, it's a brief history of capacity building, but with audience development in the heart. And you cannot have audience development without investment in the organization. And today, main theme of a forum, this year's forum, is legacy. The truth is that audience development, when you start doing it, it becomes a legacy because it's a process. Once you start it, it keeps growing and keeps on going. This is the context I'll try to give you. So these are the 5 years I've been involved together with Impact Foundation and many of my colleagues from all over the Europe in Kaunas project. I gave names to each year. So you can see that 2017 was the beginning, 2018 was the year of first, 2019 was a fully packed year, 2020, we know what 2020 was, 2021 was the hybrid year, was the new normal. I'm not going to name and list all the activities we have done over the years because we don't have time for it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. I'll also give you a few sources or where you can find more information. We are missing one person today in our panel, so we'll be in a local club of Kaunasians. Tanya Kaltis from EKA 2020 was supposed to be with us today, but pandemic is not over. Tanya got COVID, so she couldn't fly to Kaunas, but she wrote an amazing, very extensive article about impact on audience development and all the training programs, capacity building programs and outreach on Rijeka 2020. And you will be able to read it during the summer. It might be your summer read, and we will keep you posted as soon as we put together the whole little publication. So we keep you informed, so we'll be able to dig into Rijeka's perspective this way. Okay, I'll do it very quickly. I have to mention it because it all started with one email, and I'm looking at Daiva right now. So the whole story and me being here actually started with this email, and I found it in my email box, and I wanted to share it with you because that's the part of it. It's also, my personal journey. Daiva approached me. She wrote this email, and I thought that she has to be an amazing person because she's bringing the group of her students to Warsaw. Then I met with them, and then Daiva contacted me in a different capacity. We started talking. It was first meetings and my first visit to Kaunas. But this is how it all started with one email, and this is the exact email. So that was 2017. This is 2018, so the year first. These are the photos from the first workshops I actually conducted in Kaunas. You can see in the background Čiurlionis Museum and the people who attended those workshops. You can recognize some of the faces. Some people, haven't changed at all. Some of us has changed. Some of us has grew, as we talked with Vita during the break. Some of the people actually, became adults within those 5 years. So 2018 was a year of first. It was also the first forum, but for me, I would say that one of the most important parts of that forum was a workshop which was connected somehow to the forum, which happened after the forum. It was the first meeting of culture professionals from Kaunas, talking about future, talking about cooperation, talking about the methods and the needs and the hopes of the culture sector. And I will come back to that, but today, I would very strongly I don't know, advise you, it's not a good work, because I'm not the person who can advise, but suggest, maybe this is the work to refresh that partnerships, to come back to those discussions, to this group, or enlarge this group, because it is the perfect time to do so. In 2018, now I'm putting 2 years together, so I'll go faster. In 2018, we started the first program, specially designed for Kaunas. So that it was the first edition of audience development for Kaunas 2022. That was the full name of the program, and it was also the fullest version of the program. So the people you will meet, some of them or most of them today are actually, let's say, alumni of that program. In the first edition, after a very heavy scrutiny process, recruitment process, we've selected 12 organizations. Each of them was represented by 2 people. And they entered more than a year-long program. Actually, it was a year and a half almost altogether. There were 10 workshops, but it looks like it wasn't that much in terms of content. But there were 2 days of workshop, full days of workshops. So it was actually meeting, once a month. It was quite intensive. So there were 2 days per every month, which people dedicated to workshopping together. There were also mentoring session, and there was a lot of planning and testing and tryout. The whole program was divided. The concept was it was divided into 2 parts. The first part was a hands-off part, so it was only about listening, learning new things, talking to each other, but not applying anything straight away back into your organization. So we've been repeating it over and over again, because usually when we learn new things, the first thing we do is that we go and try them out in practice. And the best is to wait a little bit, to learn a little bit more, get different perspectives, then put it all together, digest it, and then produce something new. So the first part of the program was hands-off, and the second part of the program was called hands-on. So it was a time for testing, for talking, working with the mentors. 14 trainers and experts from all over Europe participated in that program, but also joined us over the year. There were also open workshops and audience lab open for participation for anyone who wanted to join. What is important here, that you can see 12 organizations and 24 people, but you need to multiply it by the number of people who are working in those organizations. Some of them were small, some of them were informal even, some of them were NGOs, some of them were large public institutions. So you need to multiply that number if you want to see the real number of people who are in a way beneficiaries of this process. By multiplying the number of participants and organizations by the number of people hired by those organizations. So we didn't know how lucky we were back then that we had a chance to work live, that we had a chance to meet. We didn't know how special it was when it lasted. Now we know, and we can appreciate it looking back. It was intensive, and if today, probably if I would design it, I don't know, all over again, probably I would make it less intensive. But it was also the time when it was further away from the year, from 2022, so also people were not that overworked and not that busy, so it was possible to do it back then. It wouldn't be possible to do it this year, for example. If you want to have a look also on what happened during the first edition of the program and what happened within, I would say, first half of our cooperation, you can go to the website. There is a book which was produced together with, it's in a PDF version, it was produced together with Kaunas 2022, and a lot of stories of people who participated in the program. Their experiences are described there. So I encourage you to do that. Then we had 2020. But it's not that we haven't done anything. So the 2020 was a year of, yeah, and it's the thing that the color symbolizes well. So we decided to do something. We had the truth is that we had a whole plan for the end of 2019, and then to continue in 2020. It was supposed to be a very big year. We had a lot of activities planned, and then we had to put everything on hold. With today's knowledge and perspective, I would say that it was a mistake, that we should have started straight away, not go online and not wait. But everything was frozen. Also, the budgets were frozen, and that was the problem. So there were also limitations we couldn't deal with. So if we had the knowledge back then, or the budgets, or no matter of the budgets, we would have probably started. So what we did in 2020 was that we observed that everything moved online, but the truth is that by being online, it doesn't mean that it's more accessible to different audiences. And I'm talking here mainly to the audiences with different disabilities. So we thought that it's a perfect time to actually use 2020 for reflection, gaining new skills, and focus the edition on 2020 on accessibility, and mainly on accessibility in an online mode. So this was the whole program dedicated to that subject. As you can see, almost 200 people subscribed for workshops. We have designed them in a way that there were different modules, different time of the day, because everybody was working from home and everybody had a lot of work, so we tried to adjust. But it was still quite intensive. There were 13 workshops and webinars altogether. In 2021, we being smarter, wiser after the experience on 2022, we have decided to go hybrid. Hybrid actually in this case meant that we were mainly working this way. But, this time, again, after application process, we selected 10 organizations. 10 organizations represented by 2 people. Again, we've done altogether 17 workshops, but in this case, instead of 2 days and 2 full days, there were workshops online, mainly online, but not only, but mainly online, which meant, 2.5 hours. So this is how, we have shrunk our workshops from 2 full days to 2 hours these days. But it's possible, it's doable. There were also peer-to-peer groups, so that was a different method we used. So people shared their knowledge and experiences, and they were supporting each other through this process. And there was a one-on-one mentoring, and it was far more mentoring than in the first program to support the process. And there were also, we had a chance to meet offline, and altogether that year we worked with more than 50 people in an offline mode. It still sounds weird. So, behind those years, I could put the number on it. We talked about it with Neringa yesterday. I could calculate, the number of workshop hours, a number of the people, and I gave you a bit of, an idea, number of tools we have produced, but those indicators, they don't tell you the whole story. But those people will. So I would say that they are a legacy. Behind each and every person will be here today with me on the stage, and with whom I met over the years, there's a story. There's a very specific individual story. I see more people, more faces. And I think that we need to listen to those stories. We try to do that. That's why, even sometimes people don't know when they participate in those programs, then we actually conduct evaluation. We look at how they grow. When you start learning, we don't know what we don't know. That's the thing. And while we gain new knowledge, we are more aware about what is interesting to learn. And when we start looking at new directions, and we also see new gaps which need to be filled in. So it is a process, and it was very visible during the second generation, let's say, when we did a lot of mapping and co-creation of the program, and you could see how the needs, or at least the awareness of the needs, is changing while we go deeper into the process. So I'll stop here. I'll hope that we will have a chance also to talk about the future, especially in the second part, and together with you that we can answer the question what will happen after 2022, because I think that, you know, this part, the capacity building, we are only to underline it, we are not, you know, the only organization being, you know, a partner of Kaunas 2022 doing the capacity building. Capacity building is happening in many different fields, so that's just a part of it. We are a little part of that, and we work with culture professionals. But that's the part, you know, it's not that sexy as large events. It's not that visible. There are no fireworks. But the truth is that during the year like this, the audience, a lot of audiences are being awakened. They're being awakened, and then something has to be done because there are expectations, and expectations grow after, you know, the process like this and the year like this. And the people who will be the ones dealing with it are the culture professionals. You know, the year goes, the title goes, the logo goes, the branding goes, people stay. And they will work with those audiences, and they will be here. So I think that they are the most important legacy and investment, and they should be still invested in. Thank you very much, and Marius, could you please replace me here? Thank you.
Hello, friends, colleagues. I'm a little bit nervous, but I think that with your support, I will try to do my best. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, can I see my slides? Okay. Okay, let's try to start. So, I'm really happy to be here today and to present my institution, Kaunas IX Fort Museum, and to share my experiences in searches of something new. New way, new museum, maybe something new than that we even know still. So, but first I would like to start from a few words about myself. I'm not a new guy in the field of museums. Last 17 years I've been working in 2 different Lithuanian museums. I changed 6 positions, starting from a researcher of the history, continuing as the employee of maintenance, tour guide, deputy director, and finishing as the decision maker, director. Yeah, that's good. Support is good. But now, not about me, about my organization, about the case of Kaunas IX Fort Museum. But first of all, I think that we have to start from the definitions. I do this in each my presentation because I think that it's very important, because I hear a lot of confusion in the public, because when they are trying to discuss about what kind of place is Kaunas IX Fort. Is that place a park, a museum, a fort, fortress, and etc. So I would like to clarify that Ninth Fort is a historical site. Also, it's an architectural artifact. Kaunas IX Fort Memorial Complex is an object of cultural heritage. Also, it's a memorial site to commemorate victims of Nazism. And Kaunas IX Fort Museum is a state museum that presents 4 main historical topics and administrates this entire territory. Let's look from above. So, we are operating in 3 buildings. Here you can see the building of administration, so it's a brain center. Also, we have 2 buildings devoted to the function of museological and cultural activities. Here you can see the mass murder site where Nazis during the Second World War killed about 50,000 persons. And here it is an impressive 32 meters high monument to commemorate the victims of Nazism. And here is the memorial park that covers the territory of about 50 hectares. And the museum is the chain that connects everything. So, instead that we are most widely known in the world as the place of Holocaust, as the Holocaust Museum, but we are presenting 4 main topics in our institution. It's the history of fortification, division of hard labor prison, history of Nazism, and also history of Soviet occupations. Okay, I started to work in Kaunas IX Fort Museum since 2014 as a researcher. But just 1 year after, I came to the duty of deputy director. My main responsibilities were related with the organization of researches and development of new cultural services. New services, I mean new exhibitions, conferences, commemorational events, and etc. But working in team with young, ambitious, talented and creative persons, the idea naturally came that we can work differently, that we can create something new, and maybe we can create the modern museum. And how the modern museum, how that idea looked from the perspective of 2015. So maybe it's a modern museum if we have a lots of visitors. Maybe modern museum is when we have new exhibitions, attractive cultural events, and so on and so on. And everything looked very fine, but how to reach that goal? And I looked like that pure animal with big eyes. Okay, how to do this? How to create that plan to reach that goal? Especially, okay, let's start from creation of new exhibitions. How you can create new exhibitions when you are operating in old buildings without heating system, with damaged air ventilation systems? So the goal is such like an unreachable. Okay, you can apply for European funds, but it's very, very long and expensive way. Maybe we can do something faster. Okay, maybe we can develop new services. Okay, but to whom we will address those services? Do we really know our visitor? Do we know portfolio of our visitors? Do we know how our visitors are interpreting us? And do we really know how we are interpreting us? So first of all, just an example, we were forced to deal with some stereotypes, some inner stereotypes, and stereotypes that were coming from outside. Just an example, 2 definitions: old museum, new museum. Since 1984, when a memorial complex was opened for the visitors, the employees of museum called that new building that was opened in 1984 as the new museum. And this definition were still alive till 2015. As well, our visitors also saw us 2 institutions, and they created their own definitions. For example, old museum was called as Jewish museum, and new museum was called as Lithuanian museum, because in the ninth fort, in the premises of the ninth fort, the exhibitions were installed mostly related to the topic of Holocaust. And in the premises of the new museum, the such-called new museum, the exhibitions were mostly arranged that represent the topic of Lithuanian deportees. Okay, but I already spoke that we were interpreted in the world as a museum of Holocaust. Again, but we started to analyze our services, which our services are the most popular between the visitors, and we saw that the most popular services are related with the topic of fortification. So let's try to put everything on the line. Lithuanian, Polish, Lithuanian Jewish Museum, mostly known as the Holocaust Museum, but most popular between visitors because of topic of fortification. So it's kind of mixed situation. Okay, but we understand that. So we try to go further step by step, searching for the new way. We started from the researchers, trying to analyze our visitors, the needs of our visitors. We started to differentiate our services, to create our services that would be more useful for our visitors. For example, if you want to get more knowledge about the topic of Holocaust, we have to offer for that part of visitors our services that would be directly related with the topic of Holocaust, that he wouldn't be intended to walk the entire tour in the museum. We started to develop new educational activities, more directed guided tours, new exhibitions, and etc. And also, very, very important part was communication, because it's not enough to know that you are doing the changes. You have to communicate the changes, and it was really important for us to find the appropriate way how to communicate those changes, because we are working in the field with full of thin lines. We're working with two very emotional topics, topic of Holocaust and the topic of Lithuanian deportees. We can still see that those both topics can't find consensus still in our society. And it was really, really challenging for us. So, but step by step, as I said, and we got the first results. And we see, starting from 2060, our new activities, that the number of visitors were growing. It was a continuous growing of visitors. Here you can see just the basic numbers, just a general number of our visitors. And I don't have time for more deeper analysis of our data. But 2019 year was very promising, and 2020 was the much more promising. Looking to the results of the first quarter just before the COVID, the growth of the number of our visitors was about 30% bigger than the previous quarters. So, but COVID came, and we came into lockdown. But you know, into every challenge, we are looking like into an opportunity. So for us, it was an opportunity to start the systemic reforms. And we started to do systemic reforms. Okay, you want to create a new way. You want to renew your infrastructure. But for that, you know, you need resources. Everything is connected, you know. Every part in the institution is connected. And you can't do something good, but some part will be bad. No, you can't leave that part behind. Everything has to move at the same speed, on the same direction. So we started our systemic reforms. We changed the structure of our institution. I said that we had a good team of young, talented persons, but it wasn't enough. It was too small for bigger steps. So we changed our structure. We created new 8 departments with 66 employees. Before the reconstruction, we had 73 employees. So our reorganization was more about the optimization, not about the enlarging. So, and this process is still ongoing, but per 1 year, about 20 new persons joined our team. And the things started to go faster. When you are very deeply involved in what you are doing, sometimes it's really necessary to do the step and to look into everything from the side, to see, are you really changing? And I think that those changes that started in Kaunas IX Fort Museum, it was really, really obvious. We started to look differently to what we are doing. We created new modern exhibitions during that time. I think we organized lots of different cultural events that were orientated to the exact needs of our visitors. one of the most important things, we started the process of modernization of our infrastructure. Just 2 days before I signed the agreement with the company, and next month we are starting our renovation. And I think, and I believe that just in a few years we will have one of the best spaces in Lithuania for temporary exhibitions. Of course, and international collaboration and international recognition. Last years we were declaring that we are a very important institution, not only locally but also internationally. Now we are running international projects. We are partners of international networks, and that's, I think, it's really, really important for us. And for the very ending, just a few sentences from the vision, mission, and strategic goal. I'm not about to read it, but these were from my program when I applied 3 years before to the position of director. And then now I'm looking to the strategic goal, and I can see that, you know, we're about to realize it, that things are moving forward, I think. And now, finally, for the very ending, about the last sentence about the courses of the development of the audiences. So, looking retrospectively, I would put the impact of those courses somewhere in the middle of these reforms, and this impact was made about half year before I took the decision to apply for a director position. So you can now make your own conclusion. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marius, for your presentation, and congratulations. You're not only the director of institution, but also of the whole network of museums now. So, Neringa, will you join me on the stage? So, from the public institution to the NGO, Neringa, this is the power is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So I've been invited by Agata to share my views on legacy and long-term impact of the capacity building program, capacity building and audience development program that was implemented as part of the Kaunas European Capital of Culture 2022. I would like to start by looking at a definition of legacy, but in my own terms, something that I would like to suggest to you. So we can all agree that each of us understand the term. Like when I say legacy, you probably already start thinking, you understand the meaning. But if I asked you to define it for me, tell me what it is, I think most of us would probably struggle to put it into words. So I would say, for me, it's something that is part of my history, something that is a result of previous events in the past, and also a situation that has developed as a result of those past actions and decisions. So my talk will be based around these kind of 3 definitions of legacy that I would like to offer to you today. I would like to take some time to look deeper at these definitions and also how they relate to my experience of this capacity building and audience development program. For those who don't know who I am, so I'm the director of NGO Kaunas Biennial. Our NGO runs the largest, longest lasting, most significant and most visited contemporary art festival in Lithuania and the Baltic states. Thank you. We also lead a Creative Europe platform called Magic Carpets that includes 16 cultural organizations from 16 different European countries. And we have just been awarded funding for a further 3 years of our activities. So I'm over the moon about that. So our programs at NGO Kaunas Biennial include international exhibitions and events, implementation and presentation of interdisciplinary international projects in various countries, such as Latvia, Estonia, Poland, Germany, France, Italy, United Kingdom, Ireland, Czech Republic, Austria, Croatia, Serbia, Romania, Ukraine, and Georgia. I take a breath. Promotion of emerging talents, curators and artists, extensive educational program for various target audiences, providing accessibility to contemporary art and culture, involvement of volunteers, and various publications. Our organization stands out not only for the variety of projects that we run and deliver, but also for our institutional independence. We are open to opportunities of self-realization and personal development. My professional interests actually include contemporary art practices and their relationship to audience engagement that are based on collaborative, inclusive, and co-creative processes. And it was my actually professional interest that brought me to audience development. As you know, Kaunas was awarded the European Capital of Culture title back in March 2017. In May 2018, I participated, the first European Capital of Culture Forum took place, and back then I met Agata. I participated in the audience development lab that was run by Agata as part of the forum program. So that's me, and that's Agata. So yes, she did used to have black hair, and yes, she is that short. Sorry, I love you. So later that year, as Agata presented, Kaunas 2022 launched a capacity building and audience development program that was run by Agata and her colleagues. My colleague Katrina and we participated in this one-year-long program together with other participants from 12 different cultural organizations and institutions in Kaunas. So we learned the secrets of planning, audience research, participatory and co-creative practices, communication and marketing. We discussed our main challenges and our main achievements. Throughout the participation in this program, Katrina and I have achieved two things in terms of Kaunas Biennial activities that I would like to share with you. So the first thing that we decided to do was to carry out audience research. I joined Kaunas Biennial in 2013, and Katrina followed in 2015. We have both of us have worked for several editions of the Biennial. We sold tickets, we gave tours, we saw many of Kaunas Biennial visitors face to face, but we could never clearly describe the profile of our audience. The information we had collected over the years was more kind of intuitive, but we wanted and we needed facts. This became our starting point to find out who is the visitor of Kaunas Biennial. What are their motivations and what are their expectations? Kaunas Biennial has been running since 1997, and audience research has never been done until 2019. It took us 2 months to design the research methodology. In the preparation stages, we met with our team, with our extended team, to discuss the purpose of audience research and to compile a list of questions. In designing the form of the questionnaire, we consulted with Agata and with Ola, and then we ran the questionnaire for 1 month. After the results analysis, we created a profile of, this is a generalized profile of a Kaunas Biennial visitor, their motivations and also their expectations about the event. I believe that we have built a strong foundation for further audience research, and next time we can go even deeper into the audience's motivations and expectations. And also, in addition, we use these results to inform our future events. So we share this information with future curators, with future program and project officers that we work with. So summarizing this research part, I would say that audience research requires a lot of preparatory work, but the results and knowledge that you get, they're irreplaceable. The second thing Katrina and I wanted to do for a long time was to revise and update the mission and vision of our organization. In 2018, when Katrina was appointed the director of the biennial, we had a major shift in the management of the organization. A lot of the previous managerial board moved to another project, and Katrina and I were kind of left, we're not left, but we were by ourselves, so we had to find our own way. And it only seems natural to me, you know, that Katrina and I felt as though we had to make the organization work for us, rather than us working for the organization. We had the utmost respect for what the organization managed to achieve from its inception in 1997, and we felt as though we had a strong foundation upon which we could bring Kaunas Biennial to another level of contemporary art and culture organizations. We saw Kaunas Biennial as playing a major role in international development of the Lithuanian contemporary arts, and as well as its dissemination abroad. So with this kind of mission in mind, we undertook a series of workshops with Agata and with Paul, and so in order to put our actions into words and define the goals of our organization. So in the process, we involved Kaunas Biennial team members, including communications manager, project coordinators, and our board of members as well. This resulted in the definition of Kaunas Biennial as an international platform that creates contemporary art products and alternative ways to experience them for people of various interest, age, and ability groups. What we discovered is that we don't just have an artistic mission, but we also have a social mission. We've been doing this, but just we didn't kind of, you know, we couldn't put it into words. We knew what we were doing. We knew this inside ourselves, but we couldn't translate it. So through help of Agata and Paul, we did that. So we discovered that we actually have two missions, not just one mission. By revising and updating our mission, Katrina and I understood that we also needed to update the visual side of our organization, our logo. So we knew this was going to be a difficult part to change because logo is the face that typically the typically most recognizable visual representation of an organization. In the development of the new logo, we worked very closely with Kaunas-based graphic design team Mamaika, Eglė, and Darius Petreikiai, who have previously developed a lot of visual identities for the biennial events and festivals. Our team has been working with these designers for a number of years, and our long-term collaboration had led to mutual trust. So this is the reason why we chose those particular designers, because they had a great understanding of what Kaunas Biennial is and how it has changed over the years and the point that we had come to. So in fact, during more than 20 years of its existence, Kaunas Biennial has changed significantly. We have grown from a kind of local Baltic textile art exhibition to an international contemporary art festival that is able to attract world-renowned curators and artists, as well as build strong international partnerships. Together with the team, we wanted these changes to be reflected in the visual identity of the organization. I can see that the process of creating the logo was very organic and very intuitive. The result, a symbol of a merged letters K and B, pronounced KB. And this new logo of Kaunas Biennial is not only the new face of the organization, but also a symbol, contemporary, creative, and open. So this is the situation that has developed as a result of the past action and decision to take part in the capacity building and audience development program. For NGO Kaunas Biennial, it gave the motivation, the determination to implement the changes outside and inside the organization. I would like to end my presentation with one final thought. It might sound, well, a bit corny, but behind each organization there are people. I can even say that we gathered here today are those people behind each organization. Participating in the capacity building and audience development program has taught me the value of human relationships, and not just within my own team, but also the human relationships that our team has with our audiences. So I end there. Thank you very much.